A tiny BC community stunned and grieving this Wednesday night after a deadly shooting spree at a school.
A little bit of guilt that I made it out and they didn't, and that I was there and it could have been me instead of them.
Parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters began this day as their first day on earth without someone they loved dearly.
The victims, how the violence unfolded, what the police are saying about the suspect.
Police had attended that residence on multiple occasions over the past several years, dealing with concerns of mental health.
And the guidance from other Canadians who have endured this kind of trauma.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. There is unimaginable grief in the small British Columbia community of Tumbler Ridge tonight, mourning the death of 5 children shot and killed in school. They are among 8 people who died. The 9th, according to police, was the suspect, an 18-year-old local resident who died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. 25 others were injured. Tumbler Ridge is in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains in northeastern BC, about 700 kilometers from Edmonton. A town built in the 1980s for coal mining, it's described as a dream destination for outdoor enthusiasts. It's home to about 2,500 people. Police say the suspect first killed 2 relatives in a home and then moved on to the school. The suspect was known to police and had a history of mental health problems.
This is the kind of thing that feels like it happens in other places and not close to home. That's why I ask for people across the country to do what we can to send love and support to that community right now, because they sure need it.
The Prime Minister has ordered flags on federal buildings to be lowered to half-mast and has cancelled his overseas travel.
The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. I want to thank and pass on a number of world leaders who've reached out directly to me in solidarity and compassion. France, United Kingdom, His Majesty himself, Norway, Finland, India, United Arab Emirates, many others. The world is with you.
We have complete coverage beginning with Heather Yourex-West, who is in Tumbler Ridge tonight. Heather.
Donna, we arrived to find a community not only devastated, but in complete shock that a tragedy of this magnitude could happen in their town.
A day after terrified parents waited here for word about their children, community members returned to the Tumbler Ridge Community Centre to grieve and find support.
I mean, it was my friends and kids that I played hockey with and on my street and grew up with. And, never, it's Tumbler, it just doesn't feel real.
Now, Peyton McNeil says she feels guilty to be among those of her schoolmates lucky enough to walk away from Tuesday's shooting without physical harm.
At first, we didn't know what it was. It didn't feel real. It sounded like construction or something. And then we heard screams, and then the alarm started going.
Police now say 9 people are dead, including the shooter, identified as 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar.
We have a history of police attendance at the family residence. Some of those calls were related to mental health issues.
Police say 2 of the dead were Van Rootselaar's mother and an 11-year-old stepbrother. The other victims include a teacher and 5 students just 12 and 13 years old.
We don't have information at this point to suggest that anyone was specifically targeted.
News of the tragedy has hit the town hard. With a little more than 2,000 residents, everyone is connected to the losses somehow.
So tell me about your child. He's
a teacher and he's 20 feet away, and when I called him at 3:30 because I knew he was still at school.
This is a closed town, and you could just feel it in the air. I take a walk every day, and as I was walking here, I can just feel the energy, and just my heart goes out to the people.
Survivors in the community are dealing with emotional wounds today as well. I spoke with one mom who says that her focus now is helping her young teenage daughter cope with the trauma of seeing a friend die in a place where they should have been safe. Donna?
All right, Heather Yourex-West in Tumbler Ridge, BC. Thank you. Tumbler Ridge, like so many small towns in Canada, has a tiny RCMP detachment. BC's premier said today officers responded to the shooting at the school within 2 minutes, and that, the premier says, helped prevent the violence from being significantly worse. This afternoon, the RCMP revealed the suspect's mother and sibling were the first to be killed in their home before students in the school became targets. The motive, police say, remains unclear, though the suspect was known to have guns and had dropped out of school 4 years ago. Jeff Semple explains what more we know, including about the victims.
What are you waiting for?
Abel Mwansa posted this video of his smiling son, Abel, from when they went out to dinner a few weeks ago. He says his son genuinely loved going to school and volunteering with his local church youth group. On Tuesday, just 1 month shy of his 13th birthday, Abel was shot and killed at his Tumbler Ridge High School. His mother posted on Facebook, "I can't handle this pain, is too much."
Our community's hurting right now.
Chris Norbury's wife teaches at the school, and his daughter attends the nearby elementary school. Norbury received this emergency text message that both were in lockdown.
That was probably one of the scariest moments that I've ever experienced in my life. I wasn't contacting her because I didn't want to draw attention to her.
It was surreal.
This grade 12 student says when the alarm sounded, they used tables to barricade themselves inside their classroom.
Something you never expect.
In all, 5 students and a teacher were killed. More than 24 others were injured, including 12-year-old Maya Gubala. As the shooter approached, she tried to lock the library door and hid under a desk. She was shot in the head and the neck. She's now in hospital with brain swelling in a medically induced coma.
She's just a beautiful little girl, outgoing, just a ray of life. So this is pretty tragic. You don't think that it's going to affect your family, something like this. It's insane.
Her mother posted on Facebook, "We were warned that the damage to her brain was too much for her to endure, and she wouldn't make the night. I can feel her in my heart. I can feel her saying it's going to be okay. Our baby needs a miracle."
Most of our victims are quite young. Most were born of the students, most were born 2013 and 2012. So as you can imagine, for family members, extended family members, friends of the family, etc., this is incredibly traumatic.
Police also revealed that the shooter, Jesse Van Rootselaar, was born male but began transitioning to female 6 years ago and later dropped out of school. Officers had visited the shooter's home on multiple occasions over the last several years, most recently last spring, responding to mental health calls.
Police have attended that residence in the past, approximately a couple of years ago, where firearms were seized under the criminal code. I can say that at a later point in time, the lawful owner of those firearms petitioned for those firearms to be returned, and they were.
Social media photos appear to show the home's gun safe. Inside the school, police recovered a long gun and a modified handgun. Neither were registered to Van Rootselaar, whose firearms license expired in 2024. Police say it's too early to speculate on the motive behind Canada's deadliest school shooting in 4 decades. Jeff Semple, Global News, Toronto.
Messages of condolence and support are pouring in from across the country and around the world. In a statement, King Charles said he and the Queen were profoundly shocked and saddened to learn of the attack. "We can only begin to imagine the appalling shadow that has now descended across Tumbler Ridge," he wrote, "and our hearts go out to all of those whose lives have been shattered by this senseless act of brutal violence." In Ottawa, MPs held a moment of silence to honor the victims and then paid emotional tribute to the community, the loved ones of the dead and injured, and the first responders. Mackenzie Gray reports on how political rivals are united in grief.
I now invite all honourable members to stand to observe a moment of silence.
The pain on Parliament Hill was clear as MPs mourned and paid tribute to the Tumbler Ridge shooting victims.
What happened has left our nation in shock and all of us in mourning.
Members from all parties cried in their seats during the speeches, parliamentary pages passing out tissues.
To those families who have lost loved ones, this House mourns with you. To those who are recovering from injuries, this House prays for you. To the students, the teachers, the parents, every resident of Tumbler Ridge, all of Canada stands with you.
The moment bringing together political rivals.
To the courageous police, paramedics, firefighters, and other first responders, to the staff who risked their lives to save their kids, thank you for your incredible courage. All of us owe you a permanent debt of gratitude.
BC MPs particularly emotional.
In a place where everyone knows one another, where neighbors are more like extended family, a loss like this reverberates through every home.
We're praying for the injured, the 12-year-old little girl fighting for her life in hospital.
A condolence book set up for members to sign, which will be sent back to the community next week. Quebec Liberal Natalie Provost is an École Polytechnique survivor.
They will all have on their soul images that are unbearable. So they are all in my heart and prayer today.
The political reaction also extended around the world, with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz saying he was deeply shaken by the news. French President Emmanuel Macron saying our thoughts are with the families of the victims, the injured, and the entire educational community. And the Indian Prime Minister saying his country stands in solidarity with the people of Canada in this moment of profound grief.
This morning I conveyed the UK's deepest condolences to Prime Minister Carney and the people of Canada for the devastating shooting in Tumbler Ridge.
Mark Carney had been scheduled to make a major defense announcement in Halifax on Wednesday and then fly to Germany, Donna, but both trips have now been cancelled.
Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa, thank you. There is some breaking news from Washington. 6 Republicans voted with House Democrats in favor of a resolution seeking to terminate the national emergency that President Trump invoked in February of 2025 that allowed his tariffs on a range of imports from Canada. It sends a blunt message that some Republicans do not support Trump's punitive tariffs that he's imposed on allies, though the president has the power to veto it and keep the tariffs in place. In a Truth Social post, Trump called Canada the worst country in the world to deal with and called tariffs an easy win. A man detained in the Nancy Guthrie investigation coming up, what he told reporters after being grilled by police.
In some unearthly way, it's always going to be you and me.
There is some sad news about American actor James Van Der Beek. He died today after being diagnosed with colorectal cancer in 2024. Van Der Beek was best known for his role as the title character in the TV show Dawson's Creek. He is survived by his wife Kimberly and their 6 children. He was 48 years old. In a statement posted to social media, his family said he met his final days with courage, faith, and grace. In Arizona, what police describe as a person of interest was taken in for questioning in relation to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie and then released. Last night, local police said they were questioning the man after a traffic stop south of Tucson. His home was searched, looking for any clues to the whereabouts of the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Local media says he's a delivery driver who was released without charge.
I hope they get the suspect, because I'm not it. They better do their job and find the suspect that did it so they can clear my name. I'm done. Just look at what I'm putting my family through. Not just them. Not just them. Even my parents in Tucson.
The FBI released these images recovered from Guthrie's doorbell cam and have received a flood of calls after asking for public help in identifying the person. In Texas, there is confusion when the airspace over the city of El Paso, near the border with Mexico, was suddenly closed to all traffic late last night. It was apparently done so the Pentagon could test a laser for use in shooting down drones used by Mexican drug cartels. The airspace has since reopened, but as Jackson Prosco explains, concerns about passenger safety remain.
Donna, when this airspace closure was initially announced, it was supposed to last for 10 days, but that was quickly pulled back to just a few hours after the Federal Aviation Administration decided there was no threat to commercial aviation. Here's what seems to have happened. According to our partners at the Associated Press, the Pentagon was planning to test a high-powered laser to shoot down drug cartel drones from the nearby military base at Fort Bliss. The FAA felt that there was a risk to commercial air traffic and ordered the sudden closure of the airspace to all flights, including medical evacuation planes. Now, earlier this week, the military apparently shot down a party balloon in the same area after initially believing it was a cartel drone. Local officials and the local airport were not given a heads up that this unprecedented closure was coming, and they are furious.
That this should have never happened. You cannot restrict airspace over a major city without coordinating with the city, the airport, the hospitals, the community leadership. That failure to communicate is unacceptable.
The lack of coordination between the Pentagon and the FAA is not a new problem. It was cited as the cause of last year's crash here in Washington between an Army helicopter and an American Airlines jet that killed 67. It's not clear if anyone will be held accountable for the situation in El Paso. Air travel is now returning to normal, but the concern over cartel drones and the risk to the flying public is not going away anytime soon. Donna?
Okay, Jackson Prosco, thank you. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had another meeting with the U.S. president at the White House today. Donald Trump is still not ruling out a military strike on Iran. He posted on social media that nothing definitive had been reached in the meeting, but he says discussions with Iran continue. Trump has been threatening military action against Iran in response to its crackdown on protesters and the country's nuclear program, and he ordered a U.S. aircraft carrier group into the region. Netanyahu claims Iran's nuclear ambitions remain an existential threat to Israel, and he called for any deal to include restrictions on Iranian ballistic missiles and proxy militia forces such as Hezbollah. The Israeli government is facing widespread international criticism after tightening its control over the occupied West Bank and making it easier for Jewish settlers to annex land there. The Israeli army continues to demolish Palestinian-owned homes and businesses across the West Bank. The move is being called a major step towards annexation and a clear violation of the 1993 Oslo Accords. Canada has condemned Israel's actions, saying the measures contravene international law, undermine the prospects for peace, and erode the viability of a Palestinian state. Ahead, Canada clinches another medal on day 5 of the Olympics. U.S. Olympian Lindsey Vonn posted these images today, saying her third surgery on her injured leg was successful. She says success today has a completely different meaning than it did a few days ago. Vonn suffered a complex tibia fracture during the Olympic downhill competition on Sunday. She says she's now thankful for the medical staff and for the outpouring of support from people around the world. Team Canada has won another medal at the Olympics, this time in ice dance. Mike Armstrong is in Milan. Mike, this medal was a long time coming for this pair of skaters.
Well, Donna, the pair of Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier scored 217 points. That put them out in front for a time. It was enough to hold on to the podium. The French took the gold, the American team the silver. But after 15 years together, Gillis and Poirier have won their first medal, bronze. In moguls, Maya Schwinghammer had just a slight problem with her first landing. The 24-year-old finished less than half a point off the podium. Post-race, she said she made a few mistakes, but was still proud, finishing 5th at the Olympics. She'll compete this weekend in dual moguls. Canadian speed skater Laurent Dubreuil wasn't able to repeat at these games. He took silver at the last Olympics. This time at 33, he was the oldest competitor in the field. Dubreuil appeared to run out of steam in the last 100 meters and finished 8th. Canada's men's curling team played its first game Wednesday. They eked out a 1-point win against Germany in an extra end. The women play their first game Thursday against Denmark. Canada's women's hockey team, after a painful loss Tuesday, got more bad news today. They were shut out by the U.S. 5-0, and now the team's coach is confirming Captain Marie-Philippe Poulin's injury will keep her out of tomorrow's game against Finland. The men's team kicks off their tournament tomorrow with a game against Czechia. Donna?
All right, Mike Armstrong in Milan tonight, thanks. The Canadian Olympic Committee says it is heartbroken by the news of the school shooting in Tumbler Ridge, BC. In a statement, the committee says our thoughts are with the families who have lost loved ones, those who are injured, and the entire Tumbler Ridge community. Team Canada stands with everyone affected as they navigate difficult days ahead. Coping with trauma. Next, one Canadian community offering healing words to the people of Tumbler Ridge. We like to think mass killings don't happen in Canada. They are far more rare here than in the U.S., but of course they do happen. Just ask families affected by the École Polytechnique shooting in Montreal, or the Quebec City mosque shooting, or the attack on the James Smith Cree Nation in Saskatchewan. Or ask the people in Portapique, Nova Scotia, where the worst mass shooting in Canadian history happened. They know about trauma and have some gentle advice for the people of Tumbler Ridge, as Heidi Petracek explains.
We all stand with the people of Tumbler Ridge.
Jenny Kierstead knows what trauma does because she lives with it.
The instinct is to withdraw, I think, to isolate. And what we know works with grief and trauma is to reach out.
Gathering together is what she says people in Tumbler Ridge need right now, something she couldn't do when her sister Lisa McCully was one of the 22 people murdered in the Nova Scotia mass shooting during the 2020 pandemic. Coping as a family and guiding her daughters through their loss too meant leaning on each other.
And we walked the path together. It worked because they knew that I was moving through a lot of pain, but that I wasn't abandoning them.
She and other Nova Scotians know the tragedy in Tumbler Ridge will have ripple effects for years.
What I would have done differently is not exposed myself to so much detail over and over.
Having that impending sense of doom, increased anxiety, perhaps depression, those are all normal.
Margaret Major has helped many Nova Scotians with those feelings since the mass shooting. She says those affected in BC will need support now and for years to come.
Talking about those things with a safe person, with someone who's trauma informed, is very important.
With children among those killed in Tumbler Ridge and those throughout the community touched in some way, experts urge parents and caregivers to communicate with their kids.
And really let them know that you're there for them if they want to talk now, if they want to talk later, you're there for them and will help them in any way that they need.
Jenny's daughter Sophia now talks to youth about trauma. They often go together to schools and universities, helping others the light they have found.
There's just no greater healer than love.
Part of the message they now share. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Halifax.
Canadians are looking for places to share their condolences. In BC, the government has opened a book of condolence. People can sign in person in Victoria or go online. Flags are flying at half-mast in Victoria, Ottawa, and at federal buildings across the country. Everyone thinking of the people in that small BC town. That's Global National for this Wednesday night. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.